Halloween's coming up, and what's scarier than everything you know and love crumbling before your eyes while you start regretting your degenerate screen time usage? So here's 5 devastating ways the world can get kicked off the server. Viewer discretion is advised. When y'all think of nukes, you probably imagine the US, Russia, or China launching thousands of missiles out of some invisible submarine or a nuclear silo that's disturbingly close to your house. But what y'all aren't thinking of is a planet killer strong enough to annihilate the entire global population being detonated on the soil of the very country who's firing it. And that's exactly what makes the sundial backyard bomb the most unhinged weapon ever conceived of by humanity. It would be orders of magnitude greater in power than any nuke the US has ever detonated. It can cause a sea of flames the size of France, and was rejected by the same president that turned 2 Japanese cities into a Bethesda game. But it's the sheer numbers that reveal the truly devastating power of this device. Most nukes' power are measured in megatons of TNT, but Sundial's TNT was measured in the gigatons. A gigaton is exactly 1,000 times more powerful than a megaton. That's like comparing a pebble to a boulder. That's like comparing Tom Holland to Lizzo. Edward Teller proposed sundial to contain 10 gigatons worth of TNT. This would make it 200 times more powerful than the Tsar Bomba, which is the most powerful nuke that has ever been detonated. It only had 50 megatons. 10 gigatons is 10,000 megatons. But 50 megatons from the Tsar Bomba was still enough to shatter windows in Finland that were 500 miles away. And it was made cleaner than usual to not spread too much radiation, since it was less about destruction and more like a glizzy measuring contest. Imagine 200 times that power in a dirty bomb that's made to spread nuclear fallout. Any buildings over a couple thousand miles could just bite the dust. The heat wave could probably make your skin boil even further out than that, and would cause earthquakes on par with the greatest ever recorded in human history. But it's not the ground crumbling below that's going to deactivate your breathing privileges. It's probably going to be the skyscraper-sized tsunami that's going to turn your city into an underwater attraction. And by now you're probably realizing that this bomb won't even have to be launched in order to end the world, since any hemisphere this is detonated on is pretty much ground zero. And the rest of the world is going to have to deal with an irradiated water supply, mass crop failures, and an annual subscription to snow for decades, effectively turning the entire planet into the city of Detroit. Nobody deserves that. Sundial pretty much started the trend in culture of the idea of a doomsday device that essentially flips the chessboard over and throws it into a wood chipper. It's the strategic equivalent to sinking the whole cruise ship because you lost a game of poker on it. This is why I hate people saying that video games are a waste of time. Because even though you don't get too much done, show me a grown man gaming for 10 hours a day, and I'll show you someone that isn't trying to build the new sequel to Fallout. Bioterrorism means attacking a population with biological agents such as bacteria, viruses, insects, or fungi. Which also means that putting foot fungus in Burger King lettuce or dropping a turd in the punch bowl definitely counts as biological warfare. These agents are usually found in nature, then genetically engineered to become more dangerous. They engineer them to be easier to transmit, more resistant to drugs, and even just flat out more fatal. It's basically a bigger game of Plague Inc., except you can't fast forward. That's about the only difference. And trust me, biological warfare is the perfect method of attack for someone trying to go George Bush on a budget. These diseases are super cheap and easy to obtain. You usually have to look no further than your city's own public restroom. They're very easy to spread and very difficult to detect because police aren't exactly doing pat-downs looking for anthrax. Most of the symptoms of these diseases take days to come into effect, so the perpetrator could be long gone and escaped before any red flags start popping up. But probably the worst feature in an attack like this is the effect it has on the people. A massive disease outbreak doesn't just hurt the people physically, but it also causes widespread panic and paranoia within the population. People start thinking more irrationally and trusting people less. I mean, do I even have to say what happened in 2020? Do I gotta say it? I don't even think I can say it. Nobody can say it. No one has to say it. We all know what happened in 2020. I think that year was de-evolutionary because we definitely turned into some animals. Bioterrorism can be used by small paramilitary groups or by an entire government as an act of war. And depending on the type of disease and the starting location, it can go from a minor inconvenience to DEFCON 1. Different agents spread better through water, air, food, or social contact. This means the most likely class of civilian to survive an all-out pathogen nightmare are the Discord mods. Cause you know they ain't getting no fresh air or social contact. Water's out of the picture too due to their strict diet of Mountain Dew, Double Dew, and Diet Double Dew. And the food they do eat has probably been chemically sterilized by the time the processing is done. But the worst place to get caught lacking in a biological attack is in a densely populated indoor area. Think of malls, grocery stores, and office buildings. Other places that are vulnerable are public utility access points. Think of water supply, storm drainage, and possibly even gas. These systems are very simple and could easily be infiltrated. One time, 400,000 people in Wisconsin were infected when raw sewage spilled into the river. I guess the Joker knew what he was doing when he poisoned Gotham's water supply. But you don't have to be an evil mastermind to take advantage of these systems. I work in the trades, and one day we placed an excavator too close to a building's air supply vent. The people inside started feeling sick because the carbon monoxide from the exhaust was entering the building. It came to attention before it became a serious issue, but everybody inside was instantly subjected to it. What if it was anthrax? Or the Black Death? Maybe it's someone spreading botulism through the food supply. Or it's a farmer on his worst day dropping smallpox on a city with his crop duster. The problem is that someone with basic knowledge of these utility systems can hijack the entire thing. And with advancing technology, this threat is only going to grow. But that's assuming we can even get there before this next thing incinerates us all. Be honest. Do you think we know what's going on in space? That we're able to see what's coming? Well, we kind of do for the most part. But we also share the same bedroom with a space object that's 333,000 times more massive than the Earth. It's the sun. And the danger is when it starts playing peekaboo with mountains moving at 25,000 miles an hour. You see, current satellites don't have the ability to see what's coming from behind the sun. And by the time an asteroid finally reveals itself on the other side, we won't have enough time or technology to react anyways. It's like getting caught with your pants down, just waiting for the final New Year's ball to drop. So even though we haven't detected any large asteroids coming in our trajectory, we still have no idea what's behind the sun right now. Asteroids are the worst, but they don't have to be the same size as the Dino Deleter in order to end us all. Just 1 kilometer wide, or 0.6 miles, is enough to send billions of people back to the spawn point. They're so dangerous because of the sheer amount of kinetic energy stored in these things. Any asteroid 1 kilometer or more alone has hundreds of times the power of the world's entire nuclear arsenal. Remember that Tsar Bomba? Well, the Dino Destroyer had over 7,000 of those packed in one punch. Is that what it feels like to chew 5 gum?
How it feels to chew 5 gum. New 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
Thankfully though, those ones are exceedingly rare. The real threat goes back to those 1 kilometer asteroids, which hit the Earth about once every 500,000 years. Call me a gambler, but we're definitely overdue for one, since the last asteroid of this size hit the Earth about 900,000 years ago. Looks like we're all living on borrowed time. An impact this size is big enough to cause its own nuclear winter. But even smaller ones are still an issue. A 200-meter asteroid smacked Russia with 10 megatons of TNT worth of power, which is the same as a large nuclear bomb. This single object decimated 18 million acres of forest, and even terraformed new lakes into existence. Russia must have pissed someone off, because here's another one from 2013, where a 20-meter asteroid exploded in the atmosphere with 30 times the power of the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. Yeah, I would have just signed off right there. It's not asteroids you gotta worry about either, since comets move even faster and pose just as much of a threat, but they do be pretty. In 1994, scientists watched as a comet impacted Jupiter with 6 million megatons of TNT, tearing a 12,000 kilometer hole through the planet, leaving a massive dark spot. The power released was equivalent to 600 times the entire world's nuclear arsenal, or about half the power of an exploding microwave hot dog. I apologize in advance for keeping you up tonight. There's only a 1 in 100 million chance of a rage-quitting asteroid hitting the Earth, but that's still better odds than winning the lottery. So I'm still not sleeping tonight. But even if we pull the greatest luck heist in history and never draw the asteroid card again, this next fate is both inescapable and inevitable. What do the Sun and Gym Bros have in common? They both make gains. Every star, including our Sun, goes through something called stellar evolution, which means over time the Sun will get brighter, hotter, and bigger. It's basically the cosmic equivalent of a post-high school glow-up. Most people think that the Sun will swallow the Earth in 5 to 8 billion years when it becomes a red giant. And while that is true, life is ending far before that. In just a billion years, the Sun will use up most of its hydrogen, where it'll get brighter and hotter and eventually evaporate the oceans. But even sooner than that, at 600 million years from now, the Earth won't even have enough carbon dioxide left on it to support plant life. And without plant life, there is no life. So chances are that we'll be long gone before we have to swim in the nuclear jacuzzi. But what makes this so terrifying is the fact that it will happen. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There is nothing we can do to stop the ultimate suntan makeover from happening, which makes the only way to escape this being colonizing other planets. The technology to achieve this is ridiculously advanced though, but we're almost there, which is why a factory reset from a nuclear war or a cosmic fastball would be so unfortunate, because we're so close to escaping this fate, and one of these events would completely kill our generational run. So we might be able to save life as we know it, but this next scenario is happening no matter how good things go. Great, so you haven't used any nukes, kept smallpox out the water, dodged the asteroids, and successfully colonized space. What can go wrong? Well, your HP points. There is no regen, no health potion, and this game only has one save file.
I thought you were gonna do this. No health points, there's no regen, and there's no Queen of England.
What the fuck? We will all eventually die. Dying is both the greatest and most common mystery that exists. Life was never supposed to know about death, because the implications are both infinite and terrifying. You'll never catch your dog worrying about death though. He's too mentally occupied about the current state of his balls. So this seems to be an us issue. But while the planet won't end when you die, it might as well have, because you'll probably never see it again. Consider it like an end to your world. And yes, religion can very well be correct and have some afterlife waiting for us. Maybe we'll be reincarnated, or we'll travel to another dimension. Maybe it's like South Park, where everybody except the Mormons goes down to the land below. But I'm talking about nothing. That there's just nothing. You'll never be able to perceive nothing. Imagine what nothing was like before you were born. You can't. It never existed. There was an eternity of nothing before you, and there will be an eternity of nothing after you. The rest of infinite existence spent as dirt on the ground. Maybe you'll get pushed down to the core of the earth. 1,000,000 pounds of pressure holding you down under and turning you into hot magma, never to see the surface of the earth again. This idea really puts into perspective just how beautiful life is though, because for just a moment, you get to experience life. You feel love, you make friends, create things, come up with abstract ideas, choose right from wrong, scratch your balls sometime. For just a moment, inanimate matter gains consciousness, does what it wants, and falls apart. We are all made of this universe. We usually don't see it this way, but we are the universe itself. So, in a way, it seems like the universe is trying to understand and explore itself. And that's beautiful. And if such a cold, uncaring universe was able to create all of these beautiful things that make up life and the world around us, then maybe you shouldn't worry. Because your death is inevitable, but so is your life. You never chose or asked to be born. That's just RNG, baby. So if the universe was able to give you a life as beautiful as this one, who's to say it won't happen again?